What's up, everybody? Jordan from Fiorentina's Italian Kitchen. I got my handsome cousin here, Silvia. What's up, brother?
Hey,
Christopher from the legend. Hold on, the legendary Christopher Silvia. Doesn't it suck, dude? You have like this persona now and everything. It's like it's a lot to live up to.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah. How do you like the podcast setup? It's very informal, broken down.
It's very informal.
You can do this from anywhere, bro. We just got a couple tripods and a couple cell phones and just two people talking. But Slice of Success podcast, Jordan again with Christopher Silvia from Christopher's Restaurant. And I have the podcast. I do it right in the restaurant. So there's people in here ordering food, chilling out in the dining room and stuff. But I want to have the conversation. I bring people in from the city who have been successful and try so that people watch this, they can hopefully learn something from it and improve their lives, right? And I know you've been big in the improving people's lives thing, different venue. One thing, like I was saying offline, people started, because if you do anything, people will give you slack. And people were like, oh, there's more to it than financial success. We were saying how, I always use Mother Teresa, how, she probably died a pauper, but it was something you said to me earlier today about legacy, right? As like her, you know what I mean? Like everything that she's contributed in her life, different kind of success.
We're talking about her today.
You were.
No, I mean, she's created a legacy for herself. We're still talking about her.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, 100%. And so that's why I'm having you in here. And honestly, if we're in that realm, dude, like you're probably the guy to go to with that in the city of Florida. But again, I know you hate because you don't like having all this lofty stuff.
No, and the bar's pretty low in Florida.
Yeah.
So.
That's sad, bro. That's sad. But I hear that. But real quick, I do have a bunch of stuff. But let me just start real quick. Something we're talking about is people get nervous talking on camera, and you seem pretty comfortable now, but like you don't strike me as like an extroverted person and all this stuff. And was it like repetition? Because I know you set up a lot of how you got awareness of the things you do. It's from social media, right? So like you set up a lot of the video on you, and you're making videos. Has that helped like over time, or were you good at it right out of the?
No, this is all. This is a new phenomenon, like 2 years ago. Like, I was a nobody.
A nobody?
2 years ago.
Come on.
A complete nobody.
Come on.
Ago. This is all brand new.
Yeah.
But recently I've been doing all of this so much that now I'm just like, on fire.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like when you say a nobody, but I know you mean just an everyday person, not in the city's like awareness, right, of like what's going on and stuff. So let's start there, because another thing that's wild about you and I is you opened your restaurant from scratch. Right. And I bought this one, right, from a gentleman. Around the same time, though, mine was July, not this past summer. It was June of what would have been at 23. So you were kind of around there when you opened up?
March.
You were a few months ahead of me. That's wild. Have you ever done anything like that before?
Never. I've always worked for somebody.
Always worked for somebody.
This is the first time I've ever owned anything.
What did you do when you were working for people?
I had a stroke 3 years ago, so I looked for the worst job I could possibly find, just because I couldn't talk or anything.
Yeah.
So I was making pizza in Newport.
Get the hell out! I think I remember you saying something like that. You were making pizza. You want to? Hey, we're always looking for.
No, I'm good.
No, you're lying, because you ate pizza to this day, dude. I see some of the pizza you make at the restaurant.
Yeah, it's focaccia pizza though.
Yeah. It's different, obviously. Yeah, it's more artisan type stuff. All your stuff is like that. That's another thing I want to start with too. Is your food, dude, is obviously amazing, right?
Thank you.
I went in there and I grabbed. I think it was like deviled eggs. Your stuff is tough to get too, right? Like it's not. You create your menu almost like daily. That's to me that sounds so crazy and stressful. You know what I mean? Just trying to keep our regular menu on tap is like hard enough.
Yeah. No, that would freak me out to have a menu.
To be constrained, But all right, so I didn't know you. I think you might have said that you did pizza like way back when or something like that.
3 years ago.
3 years ago. Yeah. So how did you get from this? So again, this is why I want people to watch the show. How the hell, if I'm a pizza guy working at any place in Florida, this place included, how do you get from that to having a place, having your own place, and being the owner and being responsible and for all the good and bad of it.
I mean, I worked for someone in Newport who, fortunately or unfortunately, had some tax issues.
Yeah.
So my responsibility was to get the equipment the hell out of Newport. So the cheapest I could find was this crack house in Fall River, and that's what I did. It was just supposed to be storage. It wasn't supposed to be a cafe. So
Oh my God.
it was just storage.
So it was to put it somewhere, and then you're like, well, if we're going to have all this stuff here, why don't we start making some stuff?
Someone asked me, I have some followers. Someone asked me to make a cheesecake, and I'm
Dude.
like, I have an apartment-sized stove at home because I'm ghetto, and I decided to do it there, and then one thing led to another. There was no intention of me having a cafe.
That is insane.
Yeah.
That is, see, like, I don't know, have you ever told that story? Like, is that out there?
I don't think so. I had a really great landlord who wasn't going to charge me rent because it was a crack house.
Yeah.
Had no plumbing.
I know that area, that building. I think there used to be Jeff's Ice Cream like 30 years ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah, when I was a kid, right?
Yeah.
Dude, that is honestly, that's crazy, and I love the story. A couple things that strike me is, so basically you put it together on like a shoestring, nothing.
I dumpster dove. I went to basements. Nothing was brand new.
Yeah, and it's funny if I'm sure like if people are watching this, you walk in there now, it's the opposite of that, right, dude? It's like and that's in a relatively short amount of time you've been able to make it to like honestly one of the prettiest dining rooms. And like we were saying that offline, right? The ambiance when you walk in there, dude, it's awesome. It's beautiful.
I kind of have a gift for aesthetics, so that's like a natural gift. So
as you can see, I share that. No, I got my cafeteria tables and chairs that were.
But it's authentically a
pizza spot
place.
Yeah.
I mean, So
that, dude, I did not know. Thank you, boss. I did not know that. That's how you got started. That's awesome. And to see that that's where you came from. And then one of my questions was that your first entrepreneurial like thing and attempt? Yeah, that's crazy in itself because, you know, a lot of businesses fail in the beginning, especially the restaurants are like notoriously difficult, right?
100%.
So, and that's another thing I wanted to say too was, as far as people learning this, so like one thing I always say is people don't know what's possible, right? So for someone to hear that at home, they're like, all right, so I have a mixer at my house, right? And I tell a lot of people, I've been saying that for a long time about like scratch kitchens. And I know people that are doing that maybe down the street, right? Like making their own stuff. Or out of their house or out of somebody's house. So I actually think that's like a great way to start, right? You just use whatever you can. If people have this idea, like if they're going to do something like this, it has to start at this, or you have to build up, you know what I mean? It's like you just start with whatever you have. Sounds like that's what you did.
I had nothing. I had one broken down KitchenAid, and
that is so crazy, dude.
I had a broken oven that
turned into one of the best thriving restaurants like in the city. Do you consider it that, or do you like a cafe? I know you call it like a cafe, but it's like food and drink. You know what I mean?
That's why I changed it to Eatery because you just never know.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
from day to day, you do never know.
Have anything savory. You know,
Yeah.
I don't feel like it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So how do you like the difference between, this is a big one for people at home, right? And I want all the kids in high school, like I tell everybody, they shouldn't be graduating with a diploma. Every kid that leaves there should be leaving with like an LLC and a business,
100%.
Right? And that's just not taught. And that's why I do stuff like this, is so that I didn't know that, Chris, when I was, 16 and 17. I come from the projects, bro. Like I say my story over and over. So this shit just wasn't known to me, right? I wasn't aware of it. And what's crazy, and you probably experienced this too, the knowledge you needed to get from where you were to where you are, it's not like it was like a 10-year journey, bro. It's like it's only a little bit more, right? And again, especially you're learning as you go.
It was learning as I went. Yeah, I didn't know anything about an LLC. I barely could keep a checkbook. Right?
I know when I went to that. So let's talk about another thing real quick. So from the restaurant, obviously you spun off into all these different things, right? That meeting that you threw down at Shorty's pub. What was the name of that organization?
The South End Business Collaborative.
All right, South End Business Collaborative, which is basically a group just like, and that's one thing I've noticed about you. You get an idea, right, and you just kind of attack it. And I know you and Nate's your husband, right? And you always say like you and him, he's more of like, I don't know, I guess you would say like, I don't know if it's detail oriented or whatever.
Let me just say, he's the brains of the operation. No, he really is.
That's really awesome.
I mean, you gotta know your shortcomings, right?
100%.
I have dyslexia. My math is bad.
I didn't know that.
I can't.
Learning disability.
100%.
You
I
and
can't
Elon
comprehend
Musk.
anything.
Yeah.
And I'm very artistic, which means my brain doesn't work like yours. So Nate picks up all the slack.
Yeah. So it's great to have that yin and the yang, right? Like
Yeah,
kind of
because I would have failed.
Because if it was two people like you, right? You know what I mean? You guys are banging your heads together.
100%.
Yeah. And so it's funny too, because I know you said that at that South End Business Collaborative, there was somebody was in there about like taxes, right? There was an accountant in there, and that's the business side of it. So it's one thing too. I want people to know it's not all like glitz and glamour. Like, people have an idealized version of what doing the cafe is, right? It's like, I like to cook, so I'm gonna have my own restaurant, and then it's like, payroll and taxes and doing craziness.
50% of feeding the beast, which is the government, is part of the job. That's 50% of the job, right?
I'm gonna let you slide by referring to the government as the beast, right? So like, we don't take it political, right? I always tell people, we're not going to try to talk politics.
When I say beast, I mean all of those logistics.
The responsibilities, requirements.
That's 50% of the job. It's not just about doing cupcakes.
What you love.
Right.
So. Yeah, that's good. That's good insight for people who, I don't want to scare people away, but I don't want to glamorize it either and make it be like, it's just so great, everyone. But I do think everyone should take their shots at it. I work a 9 to 5, bro, right? Yeah. Like I manage a bank, right, in Westport. I'm the day manager, what do you want to call it, office manager. I have several bosses, right? And but that's my day job. And then my nights and weekends, I do work on other things, right? So whether it's on real estate, and just whatever, just trying to improve my situation. Again, another thing I feel like kids are taught is like, you go to college, you go get a job, and then that's what you do. And if you do that, and people are saying this now in 2024, if you have one revenue stream, like you're kind of, again, being even an entrepreneur, you're even more uncertain, right? Like things, if anything goes wrong, like let's just say that restaurant, a fire happens. Yeah. Obviously you have insurance and stuff, but I try to tell people to like be diversified. And
you have to diversify your revenue stream.
Be smart about it.
I have like 10 things going right now.
Wow. What are some of the other things?
There's podcasts, there's YouTubes that we're starting to do.
I love it.
I got 4.9 million views on Facebook last month. So I'm like, let's take that.
How many?
4.9 million. Wow. So let's take that and put it into a
100%. That's just the way how it's done nowadays too in this new world. None of this existed 20 years ago too.
Right.
Dude, just to laugh. I don't know if you saw this, but I posted yesterday because I was watching a podcast with Cody Sanchez. She does a lot of like mergers and acquisition stuff. Awesome podcast. So I wanted to, and I was watching like Lewis Hawes, and I said, who's people's like favorite podcasts, right? Trying to find people that I don't follow so I can learn stuff from. Dude, 90% of the comments, people were saying their podcasts, right? Like Jess Machado's like the Jess Machado Show. Jeff's like Florida Raw. Dude, it's like, so I have this, right? Yeah. And it's kind of funny, right? And now you're starting yours too. So it's almost like, who doesn't have a podcast? But I think that speaks to like how important it is to have too, right?
Yeah, it's a way of learning.
Yes.
You got to know your neighbor and see what's going on.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
Awesome. But like you said, it is good to have different stuff. So you open the restaurant.
Yep.
Right. And then again, you're known now. I don't even know, what are you known more for now? Is it the restaurant or is it for the charitable stuff?
So I've kind of put the restaurant on the back burner a little bit.
That's so crazy.
Once it was able to kind of run itself, not run itself, but once I was able to support
it should
myself,
run itself, dude. That should be the goal, right?
Then I kind of put the community stuff ahead of that. So, you may see 2 things about the food and 10 things about what I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, like, how does the public respond? I feel like if I was asked a stranger in Fall River, like, hey, do you know Chris from Christopher's? I don't know if they would be like, oh, his food is awesome, or be like, the guy's second coming to Jesus Christ. Nice to meet you, brother. Yeah, it's all good.
Featuring Fall River.
Oh, we appreciate it. Thank you, brother. One of my customers giving us a love. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you coming in, man. You gotta love the free. I paid that guy to say it's the best. But I just think it's cool to have to be associated with all that other stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I tell people too, like I dabbled with that a while ago, right? We've talked about it too a little bit. Angels Anonymous down the street, right? Mm-hmm. It was like 10 years ago now. It was 2014. And I did that for a little while. That's one of the things I wanted to talk about is like on the charitable level. I kind of got disillusioned by a lot of it, right? And it's funny, dude, I give you credit for this. So I've started to like rekindle that.
Yeah.
And it's literally been because of you, right? Like, you're like, oh, let's go do a cleanup. And I remember doing that stuff way back when. So it's good to get back to doing it. And I brought my kids with me now because I had my kids. My oldest was 11. He was I've had him in a pack and play outside President Avenue. Like, we were doing like signature drives or whatever it was. Like, right, but they were so little.
Right.
So now, you know what I mean? Like, I got to take them and they were picking up trash at the bike path, which that one was kind of important to me because I go there like 4 times a week. I go on my lunch break. I go for a walk down there all the time. I see fits down there. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I've done that in the past, put it down, right? Because I was disillusioned. And part of it is like the recurring need of it, right? Because I know when you start doing charitable stuff, people will be like, oh, they'll want to talk about maybe root causes of things, right? Like, let's just say homelessness, right? I know you kind of get involved in that, like whether it's because you would try to do like care packages for people or something, right? And then enough people see it and they're like, why are all these? They'll ask the big question, like, why are? And your standard response seems to be like, oh, that's above my pay grade, or like, that's, the smarter people than me, like, responsible for that, like the people that are elected to literally responsible. Yep. My question to you is that true though, right? Like, are there people smarter than you, better than you at doing that? Because I would question that.
I question it now too. You have to remember that I'm learning.
Yes.
I knew nothing
all
about
this stuff.
Right. So I'm learning all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I would say, like you mentioned the rail trail. There is a big problem there, right, with homelessness.
Yeah.
But that's not my concern right now.
Yes.
My concern is it's
the
a park.
Immediate.
Right. It's a park. We got to bring it back to the park.
Yeah.
We got to bring it back for the people who paid to have that park there.
Yeah.
Taxpayers.
Yeah.
And that's not my concern.
Yeah.
That's your concern.
Yeah.
So fix it.
But then here's, I think, the problem you run into, right, is like you do such a good job at that part. Yeah. And then I've heard people, hey, Chris, we should elect Chris for mayor, right? Yeah. And it's like, I'm on like I'm on team draft Chris for mayor, you know what I mean, or whatever. Like, do you ever think about stuff like that, or?
I mean, doesn't it cross everyone's mind?
Yeah, that's cool. Well, you're giving a lot of people probably hope that they might not have had, right? Like,
so I think Fall River's had a bad rap for a really long time. I've been here 50 years.
Yeah. Your whole life. I wanted to get into that too.
Basically. Yeah. But we've had a bad rap.
Yes. And recently, obviously, right? So, like, I always bring up, like, I ran for mayor. The guy who beat me, he's in federal prison right now as we sit here and talk. And it's it was a sad story.
We can't seem to get out of our own way.
100%.
There's got to be a reason why we can't get out of our own way.
Yeah.
And we'll find that way to get out of our own way. If that makes sense. It will come.
Dude, I'll tell you, and I hate to say this, I hate to admit this, I'm super cynical on that, right? Because all I hear every couple years is like, we're turning the corner. That's all the people that are responsible for 30 years. They've been in there for 30 years, responsible for homelessness and
Game
whatever.
Game over.
Right, whatever.
Years, yeah.
And I just don't want to, or again, the educational system, they'll come out with the schools, the rankings, right? And some of our schools are absolutely atrocious.
Right.
And it's just like, you just keep hearing like, oh, it's going to get better. Right, and it's like, dude, how long do you need to be told it's going to get better before you have? Like I said, I've come to the point where I'm like, it's like NASCAR. We're always turning the corner. We're never getting to the destination. So I've been screaming, dude, for people to make like big, drastic, radical changes. I don't think it's little stuff. Even when Jay-Z was running, I said, dude, it's not kicking the tires. It's not like Fall River needs a couple tweaks. It needs earth-shattering changes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
The typical people who win, they win by not making waves in that type of regard. You know what I mean?
I mean, listen, not a lot of people agree with you.
Yeah, 100%.
But some of the stuff you say is, I completely agree. There comes a point where there has to be something earth-shattering to happen to shake up the system for good.
Yes.
But if you've been doing this for 30 years and we're still in the position we're in,
you should go home.
Go home.
Right? Like, you should do something else. Go home. If you're doing it for 30 years, do the math. You're in your 50s or 60s or late 60s, and it's like go do your hobbies or whatever. People ask about about. It's funny. This is the most I've talked about politics since I've done the shows. I try to stay away from it. People are like afraid to kind of dabble on it too.
Yeah.
But the only reason I mention it, Chris, is like I said, I'm going to give you my personal story of why I really stepped away. Right?
Yeah.
Saturday's Kitchen, and like, dude, there are unsung heroes that have been doing this stuff for like decades.
Yep.
Right? Like the Saturday's Kitchen people, the Primos. Right? Like I've gone there, and they've been doing it forever. But I've gone in, and it's like the political types were in there, and it wasn't like you're just there to help poor people, right? Like, because you're making meals for people, handing out like clothes and food for people, stuff like that. But it's like the glad handing and stuff that's going on, like, you know, the politicians are coming in there, and all that other stuff I didn't like, right? And it was like, dude, honestly, it was like a day in like January, rain, sleet, and this poor family comes in, dude, right? And you know, you give them food, and they're going through like used clothes and stuff like that, and some toys and stuff for the kids. And they hang out for like an hour, and then it's like, okay, thank you, shake your hand, and like send you back out into your same circumstance, dude. And I honestly, even if I sit here now, like that shit breaks my heart. I just know doing the stuff you're doing now, you see a lot of that.
I do.
Right? Like you almost have to become like, you have to build up like a callousness to that. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about with like the immediate help someone give out the shit you do, like the farmer's market, right? You're giving out free food to people, and you know what I mean. And it's like I feel like it's like never enough.
It's never enough, yeah. But you have to keep shoveling that
100%
against the waves.
100%.
It's going to come back at you. But you can't give up.
100%.
I would not want to do anything else.
Than
what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome.
So.
That's awesome. And I always likened it to people too, and you'll probably see this, like especially with the neighborhoods that you clean up, right? I tell people it's like cutting your grass, because people be like, you go like Jared Carson, right? Love him. He's always driving around and trying to take pictures and stuff. But it's, you know, people will come back and be like a month later, hey, there's spray paint there again, there's graffiti there again, or it's like cutting your grass. Your grass grows back every week. Like that, some of that stuff will never end. It's like always. It's
I don't
continual.
even get frustrated though.
Yeah.
You know, like the corner of South Main and Columbia, we cleaned that up. I was probably most proud of that, because we had a stunning foundation there on 2nd Street. Is it 2nd Street? 2nd Street in South Main, that corner. It was stunning when we were done. Was it going to stay that way? Probably not.
Of course not, yeah.
But you got to clean it up. You got to keep going.
Yeah.
I don't get frustrated by that.
Yeah, I think the big part of that is managing expectations, right? So like as long as people know it's not a one shot deal, right?
It's called maintenance, by the way.
100%.
Just maintain it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yep.
What's up, Phil?
Hey, how are you?
How you doing, man? Good.
You have slice it today?
We do. For you, we do. No problem. You've personally helped me with the restaurant, right? So again, like you're saying, like I had to learn all this stuff. So did I, right? So I didn't know a lot about it. So I don't even know. We just like kind of established a line of communication, dude. And you've just been super forthcoming with the insight that you know of running a restaurant and like the stuff that comes with it. You know, especially we're in the same kind of phase of like in the beginning. You know what I mean? Right. So I appreciate that personally. You know what I mean? I love it.
I think helping other businesses. Listen, Brandon's got a cafe 1.5 miles away from you. Right?
Yeah.
I want to blow up his cafe. I helped him.
Yeah. Hold on. He means blow ups. You gotta be specific.
Yeah, not with any kind of explosion.
He's like, I want to blow up this guy.
I
walk away from me. You want to help. You want to help your.
Right.
That would be traditionally considered competition. Right?
No,
he's right around the corner from you.
Right. But he actually cooks in my kitchen in the morning.
Yeah.
He always brings us stuff. Because I think if we're all successful, if we're all profitable, we're all profitable, right? We make a more profitable and successful city. So we have a lot of restaurants in our network. Mr. Chen,
100%.
Not that he needed much help.
It seems like a lot of these people like characters though too, right? I call them the Christopher's Mafia.
I love that though. I want people with far right ideas and extremes on this side and that side and in the middle. Why not just build a community of different people? We're all different. Yeah. So
it's been cool to see.
Yeah.
But that's, again, that in itself is this idea of collaborating, right? Keeping all the restaurants, and it's great. I've tried to do it a lot too. Oh, babe, can you throw us a pizza together?
Yeah, what do you like?
What do you want to try? Anything?
Cheese is fine.
Yeah. Let's do for Chris. Let's just do a basic cheese pizza. right? Geez, see how good this is. Oh my God, now I have another food connoisseur here. Another pressure's up. All right, let me ask you this. We'll get into somewhat difficult stuff. Not that it really is, but again, this idea of what's not to love about Chris, right? Like you seem like, you're coming from the right place, right? Your motivation and stuff. But makes me laugh too, because one of the things you talked about was like, oh, how do you handle? We were saying like we could discuss things like how do you handle like negative reviews against the restaurant, stuff like that. Do you get negative reviews? Like,
dude, I would go into a dark depression in the very beginning. Like last year, I'd go into a dark depression, and I would tell Nate, we're not even opening the restaurant. And he wouldn't, right? Because when I say something, Nate looks for my triggers. I would not even go in.
Yeah,
devastated by these reviews. Because there's a small minority in the city that just want to attack and attack and attack.
Yes.
I got that. I got that hard. But now,
doesn't bother you?
no. I know.
Wow.
I know what I put into
I have
everything.
not gotten there.
Yeah,
It doesn't bother me.
it still bothers you.
Yeah. Well, I'm learning to figure this part. It's a numbers game, right? So if you have 100 people saying the food is amazing, how can you rationally let one person?
But that one person out of the 99 is the only thing you're going to think about for a while.
It's so weird,
right?
So weird, dude. You know what I mean? How that happens. But that's the one thing I'm trying to work on. It's like to not let the one outweigh the 100.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Delete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them, here's the other thing too, but those are actually like blessings in disguise. Some of them are fake accounts that are, maliciously just trying to trash your business. And I think, I don't want to give my enemies any ideas, but I'm thankful when they're so dumb that they like create a fake profile. It's like clearly a fake thing. Like they're just so dumb. I always say that I'd rather go against stupid people than like intelligent people and like super villains. You know what I mean? Right. But you can tell when they're fake ones. But we have genuine bad reviews, bro. Like, on a Friday night, like if it gets super slammed and our wait times we make a mistake because we're trying to hit like a lot of things and, forget you do something wrong or something. You do, like, I always tell even the people that work here, it's like, nobody expects you to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Then there's, you can make the food. This is another thing that's screwing me up. You can make it 100% perfect, and how 99% of people would love it. That 1% of people just don't. That's not their taste. You know what I mean? So like, even though it came out what you would call objectively good against a bunch of numbers of people, that one person just doesn't like that. So they're gonna, you know what I mean?
Give it a 1 star.
And that's their prerogative, dude, too.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I've tried to educate people on how to leave reviews, right? If it's something that we can learn from and make your experience better, by all means, leave the review.
Yeah.
Be careful how you talk to people. I will block. I've gotten to the point where I will block, because if I can't make you happy, then you don't belong on my page. But I've gotten 1-star reviews for not having salt and pepper shakers on the table. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not... Crazy. I got a 1-star review because we didn't answer the phone because we were so busy, right?
Yeah.
Those are things that don't belong on the review page.
Yeah.
So you have to educate your clients as well.
Yeah.
Leave a review. Leave a fair review. And get rid of the ones that are not fair.
Yeah. It's like it's a numbers game.
Or you can go be like Mr. Chen and just go ninja on them. But we have to.
Wow, that's hilarious. Yeah, and that's kind of where I would. In the past, that's where I would go. Right, I would try to like bump heads with people, and I've learned like I'm just wasting my own time and energy. Right, like, why would I do that?
You are.
A review on the restaurant's one thing. People then, for whatever reason, there are fanatical people in the world, in forever, right? That'll try to. They're calling government agencies, and they take it to a whole nother level, right? And I talk about like the CJ Ferries, like I'll name names like Jess Machado, Erica. I had this girl, Erica Pupolo, right? She ran for mayor. And she tried calling the place. I was working at a law firm, tried calling my work to get me fired at the time. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those people are like on a whole different level.
I've had that too.
Yeah.
I've had the Attorney General called on me.
Really?
For soliciting donations for hygiene products for the homeless. And school supplies, right? Because I was not a 501.
I would feel bad for the person from the AG's office who has to follow up on that and be like, hey.
They did, right? Yeah. Fortunately, I have friends in the AG's office, so I got the insight. But, it was fine. If you want to indict me because I was collecting hygiene products for the homeless, do it. But I immediately attacked it with becoming a 501c3
Yeah.
weeks later.
That's
right?
great. So basically somebody tries, and that's the thing. Because, dude, again, a whole nother side thing about falling out of the technical terms of whatever it is, right? Because
Yeah.
like people do it if you're doing the right thing, and like again, for what you were saying, like trying to solicit stuff to help people,
Yeah.
and someone's going to try to beat you up over that.
Yeah, but that's that small minority
Super
in Fall River,
super
right?
small.
They will attack you no matter what.
Yeah, super small. But some other people too, like, because I've come again when I've talked about, I mentioned like CJ Ferry, right? Like he actually used to podcast with me and like deleted all of my right. So we started the recall thing, right? Me, him, Chip Kamara, and then it became when we disagreement. My point is this: get on the wrong side of some of these people. It's like that's when this stuff happens, right? It's like that's when they go like nuclear war against you, which is unfortunate. But I think they're coming from places like they think in their head like they mean well, right? Like I'm gonna do this. I know that's hard to kind of consider, but like I put like you just don't want to be in their target area, right? Like if let them go chase because there are like even like Colin Dias when he was younger, right? And like knocking down a campaign, like people get like I don't even know the term for it, but like super motivated. So whatever their mission of the day is, and then those people get tunnel vision and like literally they try to destroy you personally. And I've been to target of that so many times. So it's just funny. I want people to know like what even you do. Like,
even I got
best, it. Like that sounds like the purest of intentions.
Even I got it. I got it. Yeah, but I'm not weak.
Yeah.
So you can give me what you've got, and I'm gonna do the right thing anyways.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go around you.
Yeah.
I really find those people irrelevant now. Basically,
that's good.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate.
If this comes back to me, I'm sending them to you.
Yeah, they've already taken their best at me too. What's funny too is like even like with some of these people too, like I've started either friends with them and then it went that way where they were trying to literally ruin your life.
Yeah.
And again, I've had people I've had people in the last 2 months try to come at me and use the government in like ways, I don't know if I've mentioned to you, like worse than than anyone has ever tried.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And back in the day, I would go public about it, and I'd want to fight and everything. And this time now, it's like just contact my lawyer.
You have changed. No, you have changed. And I tell
probably
people
out of self-preservation.
Yeah, I know. I tell people this too. I mean, it's possible to calm down a little bit and just kind of have more intention. I think it's smarter than just ripping up
100%.
Yeah.
Maybe, and again, I don't want to. Maybe it was maturity. Or again, like you said, like with time, you just want to do things better. And then I realized, dude, I smashed my head against the wall so many times, and it only hurt either myself or my family. You know what I mean? It's like there's only so many battles I'm willing to fight anymore. You know what I mean?
I think you've risen above. So they're kind of down here now, and I think we're up here.
Yeah.
So
I try to like you said, like blocking people. I used to not block people out of like principle. Right, so I'd be like, dude, that's kind of sick, right? It'd almost be like I would tolerate. You could say the worst thing, and I'd be like, I'll let you. But now I just kind of put a clear, I'm like, if you're just coming at me with stupidity, I'll block you.
You
and move on. That's one thing.
Block.
It's helped me a lot. You know what I mean?
Me too.
It's like a time waster.
Sometimes you don't want to block because you want to know what they're saying, but then I got to the point where I'm just like, I don't want to know what they're saying. You got to remove that toxicity from your life.
100%.
And because we're too busy.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the other thing too. Now, if you have time, right? Because there were times, 2014, bro, I had more time at 2 a.m. I could sit up on my phone and talk shit to people online, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't have that now, right? Like I have less time, and everybody should want to do that. Like, fill your calendar daily with, you know what I mean, stuff that you have to do, and whether you're trying to better yourself or your community,
right?
You know what I mean? Then you don't have time to like quibble with psychopaths.
And that's why I say they're irrelevant at this point. They weren't at first. They were.
Yeah.
I saw them as these powerful people who could take you down. And no, I don't see that anymore at all.
That's awesome.
I think they've kind of.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What about going forward? Like I know the type of things you do for people. Take care, brother. The type of things you do for people, you do like events, and it seems like it's the whether you're organized right now, it's the toy drive, right? We're sitting here right before Thanksgiving. I just like appreciate the stuff that you do, bro.
Yeah.
That's the main thing going on right now, charitable
The
wise.
toy drive. Listen, I grew up extremely poor, so I know what it's like. And I was
Love
never
it.
in a position to actually help anyone.
Mm.
Couldn't even help myself
Yeah.
up until 2 years ago.
Financially, you couldn't, right? Because that's the
Right.
thing. You give a lot of your time, bro.
Yeah.
Because I want people to know if you're not, right? And again, you're like the patron saint of this. Like, if people, if you're out there and they just want to help, and that's when I think of you. I think of you as like a super connector, bro. Where like people see you like a lightning rod, and they see the good you're doing, and they can help without being Tony Cadero.
Yeah, we had a huge Christmas drive last year, and I think I had $700 in the bank.
Yeah.
I had no money.
Yeah.
Zero. So you don't need money to be a good human being.
100%.
You just got to give up your time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like even that you've like developed your skill set in that, right? Like you've got better. So what does the money count at right now for toys for people?
So we hit the 20,000 in under 2 weeks.
That's crazy.
And we're going for 30.
Yeah.
We will get it. We just actually talked to the chief of police. We're going to try to have all the police officers go to TJ Maxx and spend
Kelly?
$5,000. Yeah.
She was my field training officer for Fall River.
Let me clarify. I didn't talk to her. I talked to an officer who talked to her.
For her, yeah.
She's
She's an awesome person.
Yeah.
So if she's involved at all, I'm sure she'll do
We
well.
told them we want the police to go on to TJ Maxx and buy $5,000 worth of toy, and the first thing's out of her mouth. Absolutely, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna meet with her and see get that going.
That in itself, dude, that's so funny, right? Like you have all this money, and then that becomes a chore or a task, like buying.
Yeah. So I'm gonna get the entire Fall River Police Department to go buy toys.
That's cool.
Which is good for them too.
100%. 100%. That's awesome. Yeah, people don't think of that, right? Like, no, I gotta go buy $20,000 worth of toys.
Logistically, that's a hard thing to do.
100%.
Yeah. So
that's stress in itself. Just
totally stressed.
first world problem.
I'm really 28 years old. I just look like this because of the stress.
Yeah. Awesome, dude.
Yeah.
See, and this is what I mean. Like, I don't know where a pizza. My way, that's all right. But yeah, dude, I appreciate the conversation. What about if I'm? So let's go. That's one thing I wanted to delve into was your background, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you say, where were you born?
Flushing, Queens, New York.
Okay, and you ended up here.
Yep.
That's wild. And something we were talking about before the show, which I think is awesome. Last name, right? Like.
Yeah.
So we were probably related. I said so. I didn't mean to creep you out, but like,
Because you look like my son too now that I'm sitting, and he's an officer on the Fall River Police Department.
get the hell out of here!
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
How long?
He graduated 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's new to it.
That's
but
wild.
Yeah.
How does he like that?
He likes it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so freakish, right? So, and again, not to make this even more weird, the conversation, but if I held up a picture of my father and you, dude, it's like very similar, right? Like it's wild.
Yeah. Because we don't have those. I have those Portuguese features, but my son doesn't.
Yeah.
You kind of look like.
Imagine
him,
that.
actually.
That's hilarious.
It's weird.
But like we were saying, obviously you go back far enough, like everybody's, related, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But so you're from New York, and then you end up in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
How old?
Yeah. I think I ended up here at 11 or 12.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've been basically this area like since then, or?
I've had a little stint in Boston for a year and come back. I always come back to Fall River.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And then, but like you mentioned, like being super poor when you were younger. How was that?
I think I spent 54 years being poor, to be honest with you.
How old are you? I don't know if we get that
I'm
on.
57. I've never gone on vacation. I've never owned a home. I never had a brand new car up until 2 years ago.
Yeah. Which one was 2 years ago? The car or the vacation?
I've never been on vacation. I never owned a home. I
Dude.
still live in a third floor apartment on Underwood Street.
Yep.
I still pay rent.
Yeah. So that when you told me that, dude, I just assumed that you weren't renting, right? Which that's a hot topic in Fall River, right? Like the rents. Have you been victim of that?
No, I have an amazing landlord. I've been there 7 years, and he won't raise my rent. Yeah.
So you must be a good tenant.
I am a good tenant.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then what so you must have pets too, right? Because I see you.
I have Maddie, yeah.
Was it a rescue?
It was a rescue from Forever Paws. Yeah.
And then what happened? Like the dog had something wrong?
So the dog had a broken leg.
Yeah.
And that was during that 21 dog seizure thing from New Bedford.
Oh, yeah.
So I had done a fundraiser for them, and the director invited me up to go see her or see them. And they purposely put this dog in my arms.
Yeah.
Strategically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you're gonna have to call the cops. I'm not leaving until this dog comes with me. So
wow.
And then we had her leg amputated.
Oh, that's tough. But it's it's adorable to see. When you see the dog limping around, poor thing.
Yeah.
But it looks like you obviously take good care of. It's
a human
she?
baby. Yeah.
Maddie.
Yeah.
She.
Yeah.
It's cute. But yeah, that's wild. So again, you have this super system. Are you thinking about maybe buying in the city or around here?
No, I can't afford to do that.
Really?
My accountant's like, you got to put the brakes on your community stuff. But I'm just.
Wow. So they want you to focus more on making money and stuff like that.
Yeah, there are people who do it as a nonprofit for the community. I think after my stroke, something kind of clicked. And I've always been service oriented. I think I would have been a priest had I, done things right.
Yeah.
I'm all about service, and I don't need much in life.
That's huge. Like me and my wife are on the same thing. We try to keep our expenses down. Like we don't have like extravagant cars.
Yeah.
My house, I bought for $300,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's on Highland Ave, but it was before everything blew up prices wise, right?
Yeah.
So we were able to, now it seems like it was, you know what I mean? Like it'd be hard to do today, which is sad. And that's another thing. Like, why I always try to tell people, about investing in real estate or whatever, right? Like entrepreneurship and whatnot, is to be able to, again, have certainty there too. And because I just see all these, that's like one of the big problems, right? In Fall River, driving the need is the housing situation, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, I'm going to try to leave the political stuff to the side. But obviously some people benefit. I'm a landlord, dude, right? So my rents have increased, but so have my bills too.
Yeah.
But for the average person out there who, again, tried to do the right thing of going to, get a job and what they were able to do 3 years ago as opposed to today, because I felt the crunch. So if I feel it and I have a bunch of different revenue streams, you know what I mean? Like the average person who just has a job, like people are getting killed.
Yeah. There's no easy answer. Yeah,
there is none. All we can do is try to, do the best we can, and continue. Now, are you in that mode? Like, again, I feel like you have these competing things for your time, right? It's like professionally and your financial security versus, helping people.
Yeah, I want to live a humble life. Again, I don't need things that you might need or someone else might need. I'm just not money motivated.
Yeah.
And I want to lead a life of service. That's it. But I have to keep the cafe going.
100%. I'm glad you said that. Uh-oh, here it comes.
Thank you.
This is gonna baby. Is this gonna burn our mouths off if we? Yeah, let it congeal. That's the term around here. My daughter, when did you make this?
No, I didn't.
So she's 9 years old, and she made the pizza that we had last night at my house. So I eat pizza every day, as you can see. But I had my son's cousin over yesterday, and I wasn't gonna make dinner. My wife was working here, and I said, "Hey, just send the pizza over." My daughter made it. When you want to come say hi? She's playing with people. But 9 years old. What's up, baby? Careful, just not to. That's all right.
I mean, see, that's an image to see a child with flour on their shirt, and stuff,
right?
Because she's worked at 9 years old. And,
crazy, dude. Again, I think it
shouldn't be crazy.
Come here, look at that. I love you so much. So what's sick about that? Again, I like to talk about some of the more. I don't know if it's controversial, dude. Unfortunately, it is. 9 years old, she's working, right? This is slave labor and all this stuff.
Yeah.
She makes money too, like when she helps out. You know what I mean? But that's literally illegal, right? Like for kids to work at a certain age. My understanding is if it's a family-owned business, which this is, there's kind of no age restriction.
Yep.
But what about that, right? So if I own a business, my kids can benefit from it and learn and do all this stuff.
Right.
But if for someone who probably needs it more than me, like your parents don't own anything, no, you're locked out. You need to go to City Hall and you gotta go get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah.
And I know when you go to help people, you run into the roadblocks to helping people. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
It's a big bureaucracy that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't need to be there.
I think you're you just don't know it yet, but you're you have many libertarian leanings. And when you said that earlier about a lot of people don't agree, I always tell people libertarians get like 3% of the vote. So 97% of the country disagrees with me. I'm more for a free-for-all, right? When it comes to, as long as we're not hurting people, like if you could boil down libertarianism to one thing, it's like, I'm an adult, I should be able to do what I want as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else.
Right, because we're kind of given free will. In this, I mean, that's kind of our birthright. Yet sometimes I don't think we do have free will. Right?
Yeah, and well, let's talk about this real quick. The ultimate example that will hopefully this stays the ultimate example and doesn't get worse. COVID.
Yeah.
And we went around, right? Like when we opened, I wasn't affected by COVID. I was post-COVID, right?
Right.
But like people who came from other places, like they were during that. And again, I can't even imagine, like, what would you do, bro, if the mayor and health officials and they come walking in your business one day and they say, hey, guess what? Close this because there's a super flu going around. You know what I mean? We dodged that bullet.
Yeah.
But that never will.
I worked through it, fortunately, because
you were somewhere, yeah.
I was working for someone
me
making
too.
food.
Yeah,
right? So I don't know what I would do about that. But do you listen to science? Do you not listen to science? Right?
Yeah,
Everyone's got their opinion.
Yeah.
Frankly, I've come to a place now where I want to be the mayor of my own village.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
I love that term, by the way.
I just want to be the mayor of my own village.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't need you telling me
100%.
to go left or right.
Yeah.
I'll decide.
Yeah. Obviously, my head's like all over the place. Don't mind me. But and I think that's a good place for people to want to be, right? Is to not be told, so much of what to do.
Yeah.
But I don't even really try to persuade people anymore. That's another thing I used to do. Is like try to convert people. It's like I don't even do that because I know some people are never going to be converted. So it's just a big waste of time and
you take care of yourself, you take care of your family, you take care of your community, and that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
You've met your responsibility.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Where did you get all this wisdom from?
I had a stroke. I wasn't very bright before it, but something.
Dude, sometimes I've heard stories of like I had a stroke and I speak 3 languages now.
Yeah, it's legitimate. It kind of opened my eyes to things.
Yeah,
and,
imagine that. When you say that, was it like were you afraid? Obviously, like you wouldn't have recovered. So like now life seems a lot more fragile. I better do the right thing all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. Those are all humbling experiences, right? When you're sitting in bed and you can't go to the bathroom by yourself or anything. Those are humbling experiences.
And you said this was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So what's wild is, again, we have a lot in common. So when I was 23, overseas in Iraq in the military, I was lifting weights. I was doing like a leg press. I had like almost 700 pounds up on a leg press, which sounds like a lot. But if you're like a normal weightlifter can do double and triple that, right? But I was only a young kid and I was holding my breath and squeezing. And I felt like somebody stabbed me right in the head, right here. And then I felt like a tingle and I can feel like blood in my head, right? So I don't know what your experience was with that. This is what happened to me. So I racked it. I went over to I was living in a shipping container, like a third of this dining room size. This dining room was small. And I was crying, dude. I was in the middle of the desert, bro, in a war zone, right? And I wrote a letter to my mom. Like I didn't think I was gonna wake up. There was no hospital around. There was nothing like, and then I just went to sleep thinking like if I go, because no one was gonna cut into my head and do brain surgery, bro. You know what I mean? So 23 years old, super scared, and I went to sleep and I woke up. And the fact that I woke up, dude, I was like, I wrote like a Dear John letter to my mom, like I'm dying, and you know what I mean, just in case I was, because I didn't know. So I woke up. And I figured, all right, dude, that's 90% of the battle, right? Like something happened. And I went to work. And the next day I was watching The Sopranos at work. I guess you do that in war, right? Like in the 2000s, like now you can like watch TV, watch comedy while you're, in war. And I laughed. Somebody made me laugh watching the show. And I felt the feeling again, like, oh my God. And I was like, whoa, this isn't over. So then one of my roommates was like, hey, go get that checked out. And they did take me to a military hospital. And the guy told me you have I told him what happened. He said you have small blood vessels in your head, and I probably popped one just from like straining so hard. He said don't do anything for 2 weeks. Get down and do 10 push-ups. I did that. He's like, it's like anything else. You have like a blood vessel. If you cut yourself, it will heal. But he's like, you know now you have like weak blood vessels in your head, so you can't like push like that ever again. You know what I mean? So I had it's weird, right? That I had like a similar thing. I didn't have like loss of side of my face or like movement, anything like that. It was just like a pain. He said it was like a super mild thing.
Yeah, I had all the stereotypical symptoms of a stroke.
Yeah.
So it took 6 to 9 months to like really recover. My speech is still a little wanky sometimes, but I work on it. Yeah, but I mean, those are life-changing experiences. I'm glad it happened to me, to be honest with you.
That's wild. So I've come, again, something I found with age is things that have happened to me in the moment where I've been like, I thought they were awful and terrible. Biggest one was, like, again, Florida police officer. I was in Brockton at the time, got in trouble, facing 30 years in prison, right? And at the time, I thought it was like the worst thing ever. You talk about being like dragged through the media, right? Every person who's ever wanted to trash you, they pile on at that time with good reason too, right? It was like, it wasn't something that like you're gonna be proud of. But had I gone down that church, when that happened to me when I was a police officer in Brockton, I didn't own anything.
Yeah.
I would have probably done that job for fucking 30 years. Probably wouldn't have met my wife. It's like I wouldn't date police officers, right? So like I wouldn't have met my wife and had my family. So something that happened at the time that I thought was like a super negative, right? Like, and you look back and I'm like you just said, it was like one of the best things ever to happen to me. You just never know, like as you're going through it.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah.
I mean, every time I get a headache now, I'm like, I'm
scared, bro. This morning, I work out 5 days a week, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like lifting, put everything down, and I'm just going about my normal thing. But like you said, it's funny you say that. You have a super sensitivity of anything that goes different in your head now. You just immediately, it's, oh my God, is it that?
Yeah. So now I'm just going to do what I want because, I mean, life is fragile.
100%.
I've already experienced that. So now, there's bigger things to worry about, like death and leaving your family behind and stuff like that. So small things, no. And I want to make a name for myself. That's it. That's all I want.
Yeah, good for you. I want you to try a slice of pizza and be honest, dude, all right?
I mean,
don't try to preserve my feelings.
No, I wouldn't. It looks legit.
See if I'll we'll take a little quick video of what Chris is eating. I mean, just a regular cheese pizza.
David Pudner would say, it's got a nice undercarriage. Very little flop.
That's so funny, huh?
It's legit. Never had your pizza.
No?
I think I've had everything else here.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's nice and airy, crispy, no flop.
I love it. I love it. Even like basic cheese, bro. To me, that's like really the sign too. Is like, because obviously you could throw a bunch of good stuff on a pizza and it's gonna help, but if you can do your basic cheese pizza good, like, I think it's great, and I'm grateful for. Again, I got the recipes from the kid I bought it from. This kid Akshay, phenomenal story, right? Like his father came from, I believe it was India, ended up in the UK, and then he ended up here. You know what I mean? And they've owned stores and this. It's like an entrepreneurial thing. You know what I mean? Like a lot of migrants, I feel like, are more apt to do that. They haven't been programmed to like go to school and go to college and go to this, and then now it's like we can't afford to pay back our student loans because that ROI doesn't make sense anymore.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But they still want to shove every kid down that same system, which is like, I tell my kids, bro, 9 years old, and she wants to take this place over. And I'm like, nah, we're doing bigger things going forward, right? And she's giving me already like evil eyes, right? She loves it. She's like, I want to run the pizza place.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. But it's been the biggest thing for me, Chris, is a learning experience, right?
Yeah.
Like again, just like I said, we've been investing in like real estate, stuff like that, different animal. You don't have employees and stuff like that. But this is the whole, I wanted to and again, restaurants are notoriously difficult, right? Like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, said, if you think a small business is easy because it's smaller, go try making a restaurant successful. You know what I mean? It's just hard doing with the margins and everything.
I think once you make a restaurant successful, you can come talk to me about.
Well, that's the thing, bro. Same thing. Back to what we were saying about doing difficult things. This is like exhibit A, right? Like if you can make a restaurant go, then a lot of things with easier margins, and you know what I mean? Like I feel like you can cut your chops with this.
You can. And I do everything wrong. Right? I mean, I don't have a menu.
I love it.
I sell out. I only do small batches. I'm not consistent with my hours. I'm consistent with the quality of my food, but everything else is about not being consistent.
Yeah, to
That's my
me,
whole concept.
what's why I have so much respect for that. It sounds like you're doing it like on your terms, right? So I get nervous. Like if we have a great night, bro, you're gonna think I'm like an idiot, right? If we have a great night, I'm like, maybe you want, all right, let's shut down early. I'm like, but we're supposed to be. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, but we're supposed to be able for another half hour or whatever. Like, probably shouldn't, be so stringent about what we're supposed to do.
That's
again,
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Your business has to work for you, so it's got to make sense.
Yeah, 100%. I know this is where it gets a little difficult. We're trying to eat and talk at the same time. See, I haven't
It's really good though.
My boy John, who's he's working at the bank today, he gives me such a hard time because I know how to like put a slice of pizza in my mouth and then talk to someone for 20 minutes and them not even realize like I'm on the phone. You know what I mean? And we're conducting like serious stuff. It's like a skill that I've developed. But so I'm just basically saying I have no table manners, basically.
Yeah.
But
It's too short to have table manners.
yeah. So I know we're glancing over at the clock too, and you've given me the hour, bro. I just want to say, obviously, I hope people. The reason I do this is there anything, if you're a kid from Fall River and you're poor the way we came up.
Yep.
And you're poor and like everything went wrong and your parents weren't in your life and all of this shit, or they were addicted to drugs and all the real life stuff that happens. Like if you're talking to some kid out there who's listening, what would you tell them?
So you need to go into the deepest crevices of your imagination, and decide what you want to do, no matter how big the dream is, and just how do I say this? You can't follow rules. You can't follow someone else's ideas. You have to be the driver of your own bus. Really. I mean, school and everything is great and right and all that, but it's not right for everyone, right? So decide what's right for you and take that road. Yeah.
So you're saying, because it sounds to me, what I hear people, again, is there's criticism on everything, right? There's like, the people will say, for or against. What's up, Brandon? Thank you, brother. You should do this. Now, what I tell people too is like, I started getting so powerful. Like, I didn't like giving people advice.
Yeah.
Right? Because I felt like it would be constricting. Mm-hmm. Like, if I said, go do this, like a classic example, buddy, as Thanksgiving's a couple days away, right? A couple years ago, Thanksgiving, in the middle of COVID, my wife's cousin, young kid, she's like 17 at the time. She's a sweetheart, very successful, bro. Banked 6 figures from 17 to like 21.
Yeah.
That's almost impossible to do. Right? She did it. Right? And you can make money, but to keep it, that's like, that's huge. Like everything. Yep. Right? Now she's looking at buying a 3-family, so like that. But Thanksgiving, the whole family's around. She's talking about she wants to go to med school. She wants to do everything right? Like, I'm going to go be a doctor and all stuff. I'm like, but they didn't want to, maybe they didn't want to get vaccinated or be told, like, you got to do X, Y, and Z or live on schedules and all that stuff. And I said, hey, you could just start, like I was saying, like, go do laundry for people or whatever, or go bartend and make $600, you know what I mean? And like, she just literally went like that path, and she's in like hospitality and restaurants, and she's just made big money doing it. But you do, when you say that to a kid and like her parents are there, like, picture talent. Like, if you're a parent and you hear your daughter saying they want to go to medical school, right, and be a doctor, and you're some crazy ass guys like, don't go to medical school, go be a bartender, right? Like, I get leery. So I try to give people advice now that's like, and again, in that case, it actually worked out. Like, the parents are glad that she didn't go that route, right? But I try to give people like advice that would just maybe broaden your horizons, because my thing is there's a million ways to do it. I hate when people, especially in real estate, people are like, oh, you don't want to do single family homes, you want to do multifamily. You don't want to do multifamily, you want to do commercial. Yeah. It's like, dude, they all work. Restaurants work.
Right.
Not all of them. Right. You can get rich and get broke in every possible thing.
This is a new world. There's all kinds of ways to make money. You have the gig economy. You have just like the
just having media. A phone. Just having a phone.
Right. I mean, you could be a millionaire on YouTube.
Yeah, right? Playing video games.
Right. So I think it's time that everyone uses their imagination a little bit more. And things aren't. It's not 50 years ago.
Yeah. Where everything's so rigid, and like you can go get the job. Again, Fall River was notorious for like working in factories. Like, that was like making it. Kadiro said that his father fell out with him when he was a kid because he didn't want to go work in a factory. Right. He wanted to have this crazy idea to go to like law school and stuff. Now he's worth more than that anyone in that family could have ever dreamed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This may sound crazy, but I see something like that could possibly have a view. And I know you like. I just don't want you to keep this vow of poverty thing, dude. Like, I don't want you to think. Because here's another thing that I preach to kids: it's not bad to be wealthy, bro.
If you've earned it and you've earned
And
it,
did it the right
being a
way
good human
and
being,
helping you. Really, I feel like you can do it by taking shortcuts and doing wrong by people.
Oh, we've seen that.
We've seen that, right? But you also can do it by helping people, right?
Along the way.
And bringing whatever you bring to the marketplace, and you just get rewarded for doing it.
There's no shame in being a billionaire or a millionaire. There's no shame in it at all.
100%.
The shame is when you don't take people along for the ride.
100%. Yeah, I try to help people in that saying, like, once you climb the ladder, turn down, throw it back down to other people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's one thing I've seen in my lifetime. Again, I always tell people, even when I was like poor in the projects and stuff, I saw wealthy people. I didn't think about it like, oh, look at that guy. He's like, he screwed people. I was having this conversation this morning. Again, I probably shouldn't have been going back and forth as much, but it's like all these realtors are like, they're inflating the prices. It's like a realtor doesn't set the price of how much a house goes for, right? Like if I have a house that's worth $500,000, but my realtor says you should sell it for $1 million. No one's gonna come and buy it for $1 million. You know what I mean? Like, dude, that one concept, it's like such a simple thing. That's like so important in a capitalistic country. That's lost on so many people, and that's why I know we're doing things wrong, like in the education system, right? Like, we're just not prioritizing that.
Right.
And I always tell people, like, I don't want to be my kids learning about like William Shakespeare, like if they're gonna get out of high school and not know how to provide for themselves.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, make some money, at least to sustain yourself, and then go learn about the arts and stuff like that. I'll probably take heat from that, you know what I mean? But as you know, I'm well-versed in that myself. But, dude, you went overtime with me. I appreciate it. And, again, man to man, dude, I appreciate all the stuff you've told me.
Love it.
Want to take some of this for the road, too? No, see, he doesn't even like the pizza. I can't even give him free food.
I do love the pizza, but I have to lose weight.
Yeah, I hear that. Well, just eat it like once a week or once every week. I
had your food last night.
Yeah, see that? You ate here a couple times this week, but it's salads. That's what I tell people too. You don't have to always eat the worst of the worst all the time.
I had your Italian.
Good.
Cooked perfectly.
Yeah. Good. I like it all. You know what I mean? Obviously, I'm biased, but Chris, I appreciate you so much coming in, bro. I hope people can take some of this from this, and also to just follow your story going forward. And if people can help, again, toy drives and everything else.
Toy drive. Say it again.
Yep, the toy drive. How can they can just go to Christopher's?
They can go to Action Fall River and donate monetarily, or they can come bring us toys.
Action Fall River and toys. I have a drop off here too. I don't know if it's Angels. Yeah, Angels Anonymous. Or
that's fine.
Yeah, is it the warring nonprofits going on in the city?
There's no warring with nonprofits.
I know, dude. I know.
The more, the merrier. To be honest,
it's great to see. I see like you help you'll drop off stuff to them and stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah. Dude, appreciate you. I appreciate where you're at. And that's it. That's going to be a wrap for the episode. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
Take care, everybody. Peace.
Bye.